Welcome back. Well, we just showed you our players of the year in all 7 classes in South Dakota, and now for a look at the gridiron greats to the north, we send it up to Jody Norstedt. And Jody, I imagine it was pretty tough narrowing this list down.
You bet it was, Kelly. It's crazy when you go through and you're looking at all the numbers that these kids put up. It's something I never got to do. I was an offensive lineman, of course. I'll find a way to give some love to the line in this segment as well. Okay, let's start with 3A and then go down to 9-man. So try to keep up with me, I promise. Won't go as fast as Wymer Lidgerwood's Luke Furch did on his opening kickoff return for a touchdown in the Dakota Bowl. You think he might make the list? Stay tuned. All right, 3A was tough. Guys like Minot's Peyton Lamore, Central's Zach Murphy, South's Tanner DuBois, Century's Jacob Olson, all deserve consideration along with a number of West Fargo Packers, but I needed to get to 5 nominees, and here's what I came up with. South's Victor Isaac, Creighton Rudolph out of Minot, West Fargo's Andy Gravdahl, Cheyenne's Jason Gallrap, and Bismarck's Jalen Sprecher. Here's a look at what Isaac was able to do this season. He was the primary running back for that offense, and he was the leading tackler in the EDC with 93, including 7 for loss. His combination of size and speed is tough to find. Tyler Colesville told me often that Isaac was like a coach on the field, a smart kid that will be playing college ball somewhere next year. Rudolph has an electric arm from Minot. He passed for over 2,000 yards and 26 touchdowns. He really proved himself in the postseason, leading the Magicians to not 1, but 2 road wins en route to playing for a state championship, and he nearly stunned West Fargo in that game you're seeing here. The Magi are certainly going to miss number 17. Andy Gravdahl's numbers speak for themselves. An undefeated record, a state championship, nearly 3,000 all-purpose yards and 32 touchdowns. He's 5'10", 175 pounds, so it's not like he's that ideal quarterback size, but his composure, his strength, his scrambling ability all set him apart. What a fantastic year for him. Cheyenne's Jason Gallrap is a pretty great one too. 1,200 yards and 16 touchdowns for that Mustang offense. There were times when I'd be laughing as I was recording the game because defenders were hanging on him and Gallrap just wouldn't go down. Take a look. This highlight is a good example. He was a bell cow back in Class 3A, which isn't easy, and he led the conference in rushing in back-to-back years. The best rusher out west was Sprecher out of Bismarck. He reached the end zone 20 times and carried the offense, rushing for just under 1,300 yards. Everyone was wondering how the team would replace WDA Player of the Year from last year, Lucas Butts. I'd say Sprecher is a pretty good answer. Injuries late in the season prevented him from adding even more stats. Okay, all great candidates, but who's the Player of the Year? Well, you'd have to be foolish to think it's anyone other than this guy, Andy Gravdahl from West Fargo. Gravdahl saw his 2 best offensive linemen and the program's all-time leading rusher graduate last year, and what did he do? He rewrote the record books. This Packer team will go down as one of the most dominant in state history, their first state title since 2003. Mr. Gravdahl, you're number 1 in my book. All right, let's move to Class 2A, and I'll admit it was hard to leave off players from Shanley, Jamestown, and Devils Lake. All 3 had great seasons, but I think that just says more about how complete they were as teams. Joey Hornstein from the Firebirds could make a case. Jared Hart from Jamestown, another good one. I think Shanley's Jake Cavill would have been on here had he been healthy all season. I see big things coming from him in the future. He has an offer from MSU Moorhead to play football, and several other schools, of course, interested. But I have a list of 4 candidates. Here they are. Joseph Richter and Cole Gendrew from St. Mary's, Watford City's Jaden Ewing, and Wahpeton product Aaron Dykey. Let's start with Richter. Here's my lineman love coming out. He paved the way for that St. Mary's offense that averages state best 32.8 points per game, and he also anchored the state's best defense with 79 tackles and 20 tackles for loss. He was a menace all year, including on this play against Shanley in the state championship, had that critical sack. His quarterback, Cole Gendrew, finished off his 4th year of varsity, leading the Saints to back-to-back state championships. Gendrew is so athletic and so smart. He combined to score 28 touchdowns to go with his 2,000-plus all-purpose yards. Great passer, great runner. Head coach Dan Smearker is going to miss the luxury of having number 8 under center. He's a shoo-in to be named first-team All-State for the 2nd straight season. Boy, he could run. Next up is Jaden Ewing, the Watford City standout defensive end, made the second-team All-State squad as a sophomore, was first team last year, and will likely be first team this year after racking up 50 tackles and 10 sacks, along with a couple of flexes there. He had 2 touchdown catches too. I got to see him in person for the first time this year. I didn't even need to know his jersey number to spot him. There's something about his 6'4", 230-pound frame that just isn't able to hide him out there on the field. There's a reason he has a full ride to North Dakota State. He plans to join the Bison in 2020 after serving a 2-year LDS mission. When teams were scouting Wahpeton this year, everyone had the question, how do we slow down Aaron Dykey? Whatever they tried, not much of it was very successful. The senior rushed for over 1,700 yards and 21 touchdowns, despite teams loading up the box to stop him. He led the Huskies into the playoffs, but of course got injured in that playoff game against Devils Lake. Now, I think I could go a few different ways with my player of the year, but I think the guy that was most valuable to his team was Dykey. There were times when he just lined up in Wildcat and tried to get as many yards as possible. Not to mention, he also had 50 tackles and a pair of interceptions on defense. Next up for Dykey is wrestling season, where he will try to become a state champ after finishing runner-up in each of the last 2 seasons. Good luck to those that will try to stop him from doing that. When Midco Sports Tonight returns, we crown the players of the year in Class A and 9-man. See if some of the state champs can have a few more awards. That's next.